Hello and welcome back to 922. I feel more confident in saying that this one is the last one. This feels like it's coming towards the end. So, I guess we'll find out what the hell's happening. The man rang our doorbell 3 years ago, on March 23rd, 2007, 8:53 p.m. He introduced himself as Nelson Fisher, born John Swain, a member of the Rockland Looking Glass Veteran Association. Despite the late hour and the lack of prior notice, we let him in. We offered him water. Where was Rockland? Did he say John Swain? That was the name of my grandfather on my dad's side. Any relation? This man, Fisher, my grandfather, having entered the house, he spent barely any time at all before getting right to it. He knew us. He knew that Mom can't keep a job, and he knew that I barely managed to graduate high school. He spoke about our pasts, our recent pasts, private details that no one beside us should be able to recall. We were shocked, naturally, but the man predicted our protests word for word and rejected them before they even left our lips. Speechless, we were forced to let him explain. There's a wondrous device down in Rockland. A natural phenomenon, entirely unique, harnessed by man. It was the mechanism behind his nigh-divine ability to pull up the past and predict the future. There had once existed a large-scale project surrounding the device, its research and its utility. Hundreds of people ended up contributing to it. Hundreds of others like the man. Things, however, didn't last. The device had a great problem, and in the early 70s, the entire project had been permanently shut down. The longer Fisher's speech went on, the more passionate he became. He told us of the years following the project's closure, of administrative failure and after administrative failure. The man was forced to change his identity, cut ties with his wife and infant son, live a life of anonymity, all to protect the project's secrecy. It had great military tactical importance, after all. In return, he, and every other person retiring from the project, were to receive a generous stipend that guaranteed never having to work a day for the rest of one's life. The Rockland Looking Glass Veteran Association was born. The man jeered the words out, called it a bribe from the government. A bribe that almost all his peers gladly took. And then the man smiled and apologized. Inexplicably said that he never got this far. That he won't bother us for much longer. He must catch the flight back home. Mom, ever the bravest, asked him, "What do we have to do with it?" The man replied that he's getting old and he wishes to make up for lost time. His former peers have steadily been diminishing in numbers. They've all lived quiet, unimpactful lives of isolation until the day they died. Exactly as the administration had arranged for all those years ago. He wasn't planning on anything grandiose, far from it. Association members aren't allowed to exit Rockland, he explained. He had to utilize the device privately just to speak to us. What he wanted was twofold, and relatively simple. Fisher wanted to reconnect with his family, and, more importantly, he wanted to pass down his knowledge of the Rockland Looking Glass. I remember it. That's quite enough, Mr. Fisher. Even if what you're saying is true, it's all so sudden. Please leave your number with us. When we reach a decision, we'll give you a call. What an insane proposition from an insane man. Leave our entire lives behind and move in with some stranger who'd done nothing but threaten us. Who in their right mind would agree to something like that? Oh, I remember it all right. We never called. It was him who called us. At first we brushed him off, made excuses as to why we can't speak tonight. But now isn't a good time quickly turned into, I've only got half an hour. And many evenings, when I would pass by the living room, I would overhear them chatting away. As the conversations grew longer, despite listening in to only one side of the call, I managed to piece some things together. The man had secured a fraudulent position at the Rockland County Clerk's office, and was re-establishing ties with old colleagues in the town college. He never made attempts to hide his intentions. He wanted us in Rockland, and made progress towards sweeting the deal. Over time, the now hour-long phone conversations grew heated. Even outside his boastful disregard of the law, the man had a strange outlook on society and on life. An outlook that became increasingly difficult to wave off as the ramblings of an out-of-touch retiree. I withdrew to my room. I couldn't stand the yelling. Why can't this felon take a hint? Why did he have to stick his nose into our lives? Then, one day, the shouting had reached a boiling point. We received no more phone calls after that. A year later, Rockland was set ablaze. It was Mom who first discovered it. Fisher had presented himself as powerful and dangerous, and Mom hated getting blindsided by people like him. We observed in distant curiosity as week after week a new strange occurrence would break local news. Despite the severity of the incidents, they would rarely reach the national level. And whenever they did, it was a comma, a statistical outlier on a marginally related graph. I looked it up online. In some communities, Rockland had become a bit of a joke. A backwater murder county, where law enforcement is impotent and all the officials are corrupt. Dread got the better of us. It couldn't be him, could it? On November 1st, 2007, over dinner, we decided that we should call, just in case. The daily shouting returned, stronger than ever. On the evening it got unbearable, I decided to peek out of my room. Dad sat in the living room, eyes wide, expressionless, looking through the turned-off TV. When he spoke, it's like he intended only for the walls to hear. "The old man has gone insane," he said. "He's erasing people off the face of the earth." I remember? Huh? Sorry you got dragged into it, Spencer. This is my fault. I'll take care of it, I promise. I'll find a way to sort it out. No, that's wrong. That's not what happened. I remember... the hospital Dad worked at, St. Mary's, refused to go through with the procedure. Kidneys aren't a rare organ donation, and it's not like the patient is any critical condition. He should just wait his turn like everyone else. But Dad was adamant. He argued and yelled. He and the patient were a perfect match. He was in perfect health. The surgery was routine. In the end, we drove 30 miles to the South Memorial Hospital. It was the next best thing. A throng of people showed up to Dad's funeral. People whose lives he saved, childhood friends and colleagues. Even a couple of people who he sometimes helped getting their meds refilled. It was only then that I found out what happened. Mom had no idea how to explain it to a 10-year-old child. He didn't have to die, some of the attendees told me. It was his damn personality. Dad was always pulling stunts like that, and it was only a matter of time until it caught up to him. One person even got on one knee to console me at eye level. And their sentiment was similar to that of everyone else. What a waste. A couple of weeks later, the last person helping Mom out stopped showing up to our house. That is what I remember. I remember it clearly, but... Amy, Spencer. I'm flying down to Rockland tomorrow morning. I can't stand it any longer. I can't think. I can't focus on anything besides it. He's the reason I can't sleep. I don't care anymore what he claims is true, that he really is my long-lost father. What he's doing to that town, it has become my worst and my most frequent nightmare. That man has to be stopped. That's funny. That can't be right, can it? I was 10 when Dad died, so... either 10 or 11. 1998, for sure. I remember. Was it spring? The leaves, they were... July? No, that wouldn't make sense. When did Dad die? I remember it. It was so cold when they told me. Late evening. No. The lights were... Say, when did Dad die? Hey, snap out of it. Just say it. No one could forget something so important. When did it happen? Come on, ballpark estimate. First thing that comes to mind. Just recall it real quick. When was it? When did Dad die? People handle grief in interesting ways, don't they? Some are overcome with anger, lashing out with little regard for themselves or those around them. Some, less emotional, take a more methodical approach and seek to hold whoever is responsible liable to their actions. Others refuse to accept the presented reality and look for deeper answers. Others still take it as an opportunity to better themselves in case they could prevent a future misfortune. And then there are those who obsess. Those who spend years and years condemning the victim in blind belief that they could have prevented their own death, telling themselves that their lives would have been so much better had the victim not died. I'd imagine that such people, once they snap out of it, must feel like right idiots, spending so much of their time on a premise that may not even be true. A sheet of light glows brightly on my arms as I make my trek. Not a cloud in the sky. The air is warm and stifled, as if it gorged itself on deli meat and is now worried it'll hurl if it moves too fast. It's 9 a.m. on a Thursday. It's such a weird, nothing time. Everyone's already either at school or work, or had altogether decided the day is not worth it. There's no one around to avoid eye contact with. The only sound is the shuffle of the occasional car in some nearby street. The guards promptly end their conversation the moment I come within eyeshot. A new pair of guards, a different pair with smaller guns and uniforms that are less black. They stand at attention and listen when I tell them my name. I'm here for Nelson Fisher, I say. Is this the right place? I have an appointment with him. Well, what do you know? My unruly grandson decided to show up after all. You aren't that thick in the head, I don't believe. Neither do I take you for the type to have given it all up. So I have to wonder. Are you here to bargain? And could it be that you've done something that you wish you had not? You wouldn't be the first. Otherwise, I hope that whatever scheme you and your little friends cooked up holds water. Because you see, your mirror took no time at all to figure it out. What happens to people who die inside the gate? I hadn't seen Andrew since. Oh, it's a girl. Okay. She tongues at her teeth like she's trying to suck something out from between them. 2 weeks ago? Wednesday? He's been tutoring freshmen this year. Maybe someone at the math faculty knows. Neither Kurt nor Andrew answer their phones. Can't blame them. After everything, I wouldn't answer me either. It does force me to go through the inconvenience of seeking them out, though. Gosh, Andrew Park. He frowns down at his fingers as they drum lightly on the keyboard. Sorry, bud. Yeah, he's been here, but I haven't seen him lately. Did you try the council? My hands are cool and dry in my pockets. I've all but forgotten about my breath. It's steady. I don't have to think about it. Chatting up these strangers is no big deal. What's the worst that could happen? They think I'm a prick? Not like I ever had any issue with that. What? Young man, I'm not Park's guardian. If you miss him so much, why don't you try calling him? Anything else? No? Then excuse me. You're making me late. Forget it. The 8th time is just as pointless as the 7th. I no longer have the patience to wait for it to get to the answering machine. Desperate times call for desperate measures, I suppose. I pull up a folded up flyer out of my pants pocket. Had to dig to the bottom of my drawer to find it. It's the pamphlet Andrew gave me all the way back on the day we first met. Andrew has 2 numbers written next to his name. One of them is the one I have saved on my phone, but the other one is some unknown thing. It doesn't look like a landline, but I hope his mom doesn't answer. Actually, who cares? Huh. Where's that coming from? Let's try that again. It's coming from the classroom right there. Andrew? I listen in closely for half a minute. Come in. Yo. How's it going? I'm good. How about you? Good. Cool. You, Andrew? Fantastic. Andrew's standing in between a couple of desks, angled to form a semicircle around him. There's a cardboard box on one of them, and beside it are a myriad of documents, folders, and binders organized into tall stacks. I recognize a few of them from the night the 3 of us spent in a cabin on Ian's birthday. Nostalgic. So. I nod towards Andrew. You 2 are still on that? Huh? Oh, no, I'm just helping Andrew pack his stuff. What, did he get fired or something? He stepped down. Andrew slaps the paper he's holding softly down on the table and straightens up. That's right. My apologies, Spencer. I'm afraid I will no longer be able to provide you with tutoring. Leslie Carter will be taking my place. She had already been updated with your academic status along with a written record of my impressions. She's a great tutor and a personal friend of mine. You're in good hands. Oh. Thanks. Why'd you quit? What do you think? Andrew's papers fanned Kurt dismissively. It's alright. I don't mind explaining such things. If, of course, you care to hear it. I'll hear it. What's up? Nothing has changed from your end, has it? Kurt takes a step back to blow a cloud of smoke towards the back of the room. I've been informed on the details of your latest exploits, you understand. And, as you put it, nothing had changed. Professor Reed, my supervisor, hadn't made any signs that anything is off. Suspiciously so. As though he's completely blind to anything that's been going on. Difficult to say if he truly is. Regardless, it appears he's perfectly content with letting me carry on with my job. And I could carry on with it, in theory. Is that what you propose that I do? I guess. So, what, you finally got sick of Reed? Is that it? Yes. He takes a deep breath and then blows it out through his cheeks. You would not believe how very much so. I wouldn't doubt it. So what will you do now? What will I do? Regarding what? Are you leaving the council too? I am. Doesn't that interfere with your, honor student thing? It does. So what? Spencer, what are you actually asking about? I'm just making conversation. You are just making conversation? The corners of his mouth tighten. Sorry, I shouldn't be taking it out on you. As I'm sure you can tell, I'm a touch frustrated over the entire thing. Reed is merely the tip of the iceberg for my choice. I'm planning to move. You're leaving? Fleeing, I'm sure you would want to say. I suppose I understand where you're coming from. It does seem like I have been implicitly pardoned. Technically speaking, I have got very little involvement in, Mr. Fisher's affair compared to you two. I could leave at any moment, truth be told. My one remaining semester here is mainly for show. My inbox is chock full of offers from either coast. Were I to drop everything and relocate, it is unlikely that my life would not be comfortable. My parents have always wanted to move, and I had confirmed with them that they still do. So that's not an issue either. But you haven't until now. And now I am. His palms rub for a few seconds on top of the desk, as if to wipe off some non-existent grime. This line of question is taking me a bit by surprise, I must admit. Are you, out of all people, implying that I should keep my job? It seemed pretty important to you. It was. And it isn't anymore? How should I put this? Well, Kurt had heard this story before, but Let's say that when I was younger, I went through some troubling times. And as a result of those times, I put it into my head if I just put my mind to it, if I'm just a bit better than everyone around, I might be able to live a happier life. It's not an uncommon sentiment, I'm sure you agree. And I don't claim to have found it to be entirely incorrect. The problem lies in the path I chose to implement it. There's no rung in the social ladder you can rise to where you stop getting pushed around, as a younger me had hoped for. Even if you're the head of the faculty themselves, a day will come when you will be forced to bend over backwards for some lawless crook. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Was the council that bad? The council? Oh, don't take it the wrong way. It's not like that. Not horrendously so, anyway. I wouldn't have gotten where I am if I didn't consider at least a few of them my friends. I don't regret my time in the council, but it is time to move on. What about Ian? What about him? I'm getting worried, Spencer, but I'll answer the question. Regrettably, I had to embellish the story I gave him, but I spoke with Ian and his parents. I believe that presently they're considering their options. It seemed like Ian was notably unsurprised by my plea. Is it possible that you have spoken to him before me? Why are you suddenly so invested in where I go or don't go? Kurt stomps down on his spent cigarette butt and kicks it towards the back of the class. How much did you tell him? Everything. Everything? Don't tell me you bought into Fisher's lame bluff. How much of everything? As much as I can remember. Did something possibly occur in the other world? Andrew stops to reflect on the word. Then he makes an exasperated noise out of the back of his throat and shakes his head. No, you know what? I don't want to hear it. You should be saluting me for not jumping on the nearest Greyhound and screaming all the way out of town. There is a hell device underneath the floorboards that has the power to manipulate reality itself by some inscrutable quantum logic. And our adversary, a literal murderer, is the one person who has managed to work it out. That is what this is about, is it not? What you're trying to lead me to talk about in that insufferable, vague way of yours? His teeth gnash shut as he looks down into his box for more words. Call me a coward if that is what you want. It would be telling a lie if I claimed that I'm content with this decision. But what's left to do anymore? We poured through all the documents and put all the puzzle pieces together to form a complete picture. And to what end? Mr. Fisher has eyes and ears planted anywhere there's power, and he barely makes an effort to cover up that fact. I had planned to submit everything to the police, but if he can just undo it at will... He throws up his hands. So, what, you're planning on staying? You aren't? Are you fucking insane? I'm not sure. Spencer, I hardly believe you're here to ask us to stay. What is it that you want? You must have called me dozens of times. I take a deep breath. Aside from the multitudes of residual aches, there's no tightness in my muscles. My heart is soft, my nape is dry. There's no doubt remaining that this is what I must do. I've reason to believe Fisher's more dangerous than just a murderer. I need your connections, and I need your brains, both of you. Can I please ask for your help? Pardon? You want what? The gate. The RLG, whatever. He's learned how to manipulate it only a few years ago. On the other hand, everyone here lived as if weird shit had been going on for decades. That's what the gate does. It's organic. It reverberates backwards and changes the past in a way that only sort of makes sense if you don't think about it. All to keep both of its ends in sync. That is what he told you to, isn't it? He downplayed it and deflected his involvement with it. Made it sound like it was an inevitability as opposed to something he had intentionally done. I'm saying whole chunks of your life may have been false. False as in the gate made them, I mean. They're real now. Are you sure about this? Yes. Plenty of people had access to the basement at the Jefferson building over the years. And none of them had anything to do with it. How do you know? Or rather, me from the other world. That's not the only person he killed, not by a long shot. I don't know what his agenda is, or how many people he got that way, but there's a reason why we never heard of any of them. He wiped them all straight out of history. Those are some rather serious accusations, Spencer. Fisher is expecting me to show up at the basement in a few days. If we're careful, and if we combine our efforts, I'm confident we'll be able to catch him off guard. Answer the fucking question, Spencer. How the fuck do you know all this? A needle shoots through my heart. No way out of it. I have to tell them. They should know. I remembered something. Same thing the other me remembered. We knew Fisher, sort of, for a few years. He killed my dad. I think that man has to be stopped. The scheme that my little friends cooked up? It's a surprise. Good morning, Grandpa. Before you shoot me, I have a couple of wonderings of my own. If you don't mind, of course. Why you killed me and why you'd killed Dad. I get it. Self-defense, you called it? I'll take it. It makes sense. We tried to stop you and you prefer not to be stopped. Having said that, something's been bothering me. It wasn't Dad, or me, or anyone we know that you started with. So what's the deal? Are you on a revenge plot or some similarly stupid shit? Oh. Well, what an entrance. For a moment there, I forgot which end of the gun was aimed at who. Are you sure you're in any position to chit-chat so freely? You won't shoot me. Says who? Got a hunch. A hunch, huh? I heard that one before. He huffs out a small laugh under his breath. Fate must be whispering in your ears. What oppressive confidence. Just like last time we met here. How long have you been like this, I wonder? Maybe I should take you out of your misery. After all, the gate is under no obligation to bring you back. You read me like an open book. I won't shoot you. Not yet. Not before I tell you about me and about the gate. If there's a shred of chance there's still some of you in there, Spencer, it's important that you hear it. Even if stalling me is part of your plan. I'll make it short. 40 years, Spencer. Do some quick math for me. How long was it that I left you on World A before you and Kurt Abrams concocted a whole Hollywood fairy tale to ram your way back into World B? 2 weeks? Doesn't feel very good, does it? To live your life out, to see yourself age, all as if you're invincible. As if you're outside of reality, and watching from the sidelines as your friends and family slowly forget who you were. If you need a pithy answer as to why I am how I am, that is it. That's how long I've lived it. It was 40 fucking years. The 1971 incident had a cleanup crew assembled for it by the higher-ups. One bright morning, months after the incident, they called us all in. Everyone's jobs and outstanding missions were terminated immediately. They changed my name, handed me a booklet with my new identity, and assigned me to Group B. Group A were to stay on World A, and Group B on World B until further notice. I had 48 hours to say my goodbyes to Betty and Michael. They really sold us on that until further notice business. We all fell for it. The physicists figured out the whole dominant world thing from the word go, but due to how the project was operating, they missed one crucial detail. See, back then it wasn't like how it is now. Back then, people would enter and leave the RLG daily, often multiple times a day. The world used to realign seemingly at random. Sometimes World A would be dominant, and other times it would be World B. Once all activity ceased, however... He raises his eyebrow at me. The world's got stuck? Exactly. World A became permanently dominant. Which means that for the next 40 years... myself and everyone else in Group B were stranded in pseudo-reality. You died. If I had a flair for the dramatic, I would call that an understatement. Betty was compensated for my disappearance, but they kept her in the dark. I wasn't there to watch my son grow. I wasn't there to be a husband for my wife. When Michael graduated college, got married, had you? I heard of it, but I wasn't there. Months turned to years, and years turned to decades. I spent my 30s, 40s, 50s, then most of my 60s in the same routine. I'd wake up and watch sports, my shows, and the news, and then go back to bed. No, there's not much else you can do when anything you do disappears. A pathetic existence for a man made pathetic. And then, years after he'd lost hope, this old man noticed something. The pharmacist I've been buying Bengay daily for years from recognized me. He thought I had dementia. Told me I already got my damn knee medicine yesterday. I went back to my apartment and there it was, on top of my desk. You will never experience as much joy as I had for this one tube of topical cream. So, you called Dad. Don't be stupid, of course not. What, do you think I'm the only one out of Group B who was unhappy with the administration? Many things happened over the years. I've had to figure it out all by myself. This pathetic man with his pathetic existence did have one thing going for him. Everything I'd ever done was pardoned and forgiven the next day. 40 years is a long, long time to learn, to experiment. I kept refining my methods and expanding my knowledge day after day and year after year. It's all in my head. Nothing I wrote on paper would stick. When it finally happened, when I finally got my agency back, I set my plan in motion. Only then I called your dad. How'd it go for you? If you remember your father, then you remember how it went for me, smartass. He and I got along about as well as you and I do. Couldn't get on the same wavelength, so to speak. God is my witness, we tried to make it work. I bet you'd heard how hard we tried to make it work. Michael wasn't exactly a quiet man. My jaw tightens. So what? When Dad cut you off, you just decided to take it out on the town? On the administration? No, not at first. Not at first? Don't get the wrong impression. Those people I killed were corrupt and evil. There's no lens through which you'd look that would paint their death as anything but a net positive for society. You'll have to take my word for it. They deserve to die. Much like how I deserve to die. Wouldn't you agree? Despite how great it felt, I wasn't in it for some petty revenge. Then what was it? Your parents wanted nothing to do with me. Without a family and without any friends, there wasn't much left for me. I only have so many years remaining. The gate. The Rockland Looking Glass. It's a miracle device. The only thing it can't do is bring someone back from the dead. And I found out its secret. How it determines which world to erase. Just by merit of having exclusive access to it for a few months. Suddenly, I had the means to change my past. A new idea came to mind. If I play my cards right, if I arrange for events to force the gate to alter history, I might be able to sculpt having lived the life I never had. Needless to say, I have failed. Ran out of people to kill. If you came here to stop me, then you came here for nothing. I'm not killing anyone anymore. Nah, just save for one. There's only one item remaining on my agenda, Spencer. Are you ready? Just about. A dense heat wave blasts my face, as if I'd walked into an oven. Some idiot must be overcompensating for the temperature outside. Superheated by the AC, the smell of industrial cleaner almost overwhelms the scent of fake pine from the Christmas decorations for sale already by the entrance. Save for the buzzing of the overhead fluorescent fixtures, it's dead silent. Far too cold for crickets, and far too cold for anyone, no matter how hungry they are, to show up at a 7-Eleven at this time of night. Surprisingly, my tuna sandwich is front and center on the shelf here. I flip it to the ingredient list. Egg salad, tuna, mayo, corn, diced pickles. My beloved here she is. Likewise, booze is uncomplicated. I weave through the aisles and pick up a couple PBRs. The cashier is absorbed in his phone, so I have to wave my hand at him awkwardly for half a minute before he takes notice. Excuse me. Shoot, sorry, sir. How may I? Oh, you're alive? What do you want? Harsh? I want... Hi. I wanted you to know I'm not dead yet. I told you, didn't I? I'm not that other Spencer that died on that day. Oh. Thanks, I guess. So, what are you gonna do? Did Andrew get you up to speed on what's going on? He rotates my sandwich in both hands until the barcode scanner duly beeps. We had a chat about it, yeah. Let me tell ya, my folks are not keen on packing their bags and leaving everything behind. We've been here for generations, you know. The plastic bag crinkles loudly as Ian pushes it around to make room for my beer. So, when is your flight? Monday morning, next week. I pass him a $20 bill and the cash register pops open. He counts the cents, and when I refuse to take them, he dumps them into a Slurpee cup labeled tips. Isn't that a bit too late? Sorry, I'm out of the loop. Isn't your, in a couple days? It is. Ian tears the receipt out of the cash register. You're crazy. It's not unlikely. He drops the receipt into my bag. My throat starts seizing up, so I take in a deep breath to counteract it. Did I skip something? Have a nice day. Actually. What? Hold on. I want to tell you something. And after we acknowledge it, I want us both to forget it. So we can move on with our lives. Got any time for that? I guess. What is it? I breathe in. And I breathe out. It only aggravates the unease in my stomach. I've been bad. Like, really bad towards you, I mean. Terrible. And I know you'd never forgive me, but I wanted to apologize anyway. I mean, you said sorry so many times, and I did too, but also I kind of didn't, sort of. It just didn't seem fair, you know? No reaction. The AC must be somewhere overhead because the heat's getting unbearable. The collar of my shirt itches like crazy and my palms are starting to sweat. I swallow. I'm sorry for, let's see. Well, first of all, for making you think I'm gonna die. And for keeping you in the dark until a few days ago. And it was not okay for me to run off like that, and I'm sorry. Truly and honestly. And I guess, in general, sorry for being kind of a fucker. Like, I didn't think of it like that at the time, but I might have led you on at one point. Maybe more than one point. I think you're kind of cool, Ian. You didn't deserve having to deal with my cold ass shit. Sorry. That's what I wanted to say. Is that all? Sort of. I fight the urge to rub the stinging out of my eyes. Though I kind of thought we could watch some anime together. Or something. You know, for old time's sake. I don't know. Let me just check with my manager first. Not this again. I think you're kind of cool, Ian. You pushover. Who sent you to beg forgiveness with me this time around? I don't think I've ever seen you so agitated. No one did. I just had a good night's sleep. Are you flying back to your mom? Yeah. Just send me your address. I'll visit you over winter break. If you want, that is. I reposition my face to speak more freely by dragging it across his jacket. That would be cool. Spencer? Yeah? What are you planning to do? I'm gonna confront Fisher. I hope you know what you're doing. My chest expands against his. He smells like 2-in-1 shampoo. Ian. There's another thing I wanted you to know. It's important. I'm not sure if that's how it works, but repeat it to yourself over and over. Write it down. Tell someone you trust. Things are about to get fucky. How fucky? Unbelievably fucky. I squeeze him tighter to make sure he hears it. But no matter what happens, I'll seek you out, alright? I won't let you become like one of those internet crazies you love so much. I promise you that. I swear. That's ominous. I'll remember it. Thank you, Spencer, I think. Hey, I've been thinking. And stop me if I'm out of line, right? But this Fisher guy. What about him? Didn't he say there used to be an entire organization working on the gate? Couldn't you just, I don't know, ask them for help? Ian. Andrew and Kurt are helping me out with this, you know? How stupid do you think we are? I see. That's unfortunate. Out of everything you could have come up with, it had to be that. What did I tell you, Spencer? Are your friends resourceful or what? I wonder, Grandpa. Do you remember Shirley Solis? She tried explaining it to me for 15 minutes. Why you don't need the newspaper clippings anymore. It went right over my head, unfortunately. Beside that, lasers and quartz crystals are somehow involved. Real cool stuff. Seems like you pissed off a lot of people over the years. Once we got in contact with Barry O'Neill, it's like he had everyone on speed dial. Before you know it, like 20 of us were all at Alan Gould's house. Do these names sound familiar? They all know you. Truth be told, me and Kurt and Andrew barely had to do anything. These people, they had a plan at the ready. All they needed was a little push. A trigger. Some certainty that their target would be down here at a certain time. You really brought the band back together. I hadn't seen any of these faces in what seems like 40 years. How many bullets do you have in that gun of yours, Grandpa? No one here has a mirror, and we're all here of our own accord. Kill me if you must. It won't affect anything today. Aren't you clever? I'm afraid I'm out of speeches. You got me good. I'll hand you that. My hat's off to you. My hat's off to you all. Or perhaps to the universe itself. Put the gun down, Fisher. Shame. A real shame. See, I won't be able to tell you after all. No reason to do so with... no reason to with so many people around. Before we end our little get-together, let me ask you something. For my own sake. Aren't you curious? Don't you want to know how the gate works? I couldn't care less. That, too, is something I'd heard before. You turned out to be a real piece of shit, Spencer. Just like your dad. Woohoo! That was really cool. This would be where I would say to like support Cockhole's Patreon or something, but I don't think he has one, and I don't know their pronouns. And I don't know if they have any social media either, so I guess just recommend it to other people. Yeah. It's good shit. Thanks for watching along. Hope you enjoyed it. And I guess I'll figure out what I'm doing next. Maybe jump to Soul Creek? Who knows? We'll see. Thanks for watching. Have a great one. Bye.